What's going on, everybody? Today we're here to react to One Piece chapter 1175, and I know it's a little bit later than the usual time that I get on to react, but the chapter dropped really late today. But it did drop just early enough for me to react before the Cavs and Pistons game at 7 o'clock. So we got a couple hours here to react to the chapter and see what it's all about. So very much looking forward to it. We just got a member message from Quanidin. Appreciate you as always. Member for 21 months, which is crazy. 10 out of 10 chapter, 21 months. Hey man, if you're saying 10, you know, as I always say, we're usually, you know, pretty aligned. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I will say, when I was setting up the stream, I did see the title of the chapter. I literally just saw it. So this is basically my reaction to that. It says Nidhogg, which is what a lot of us assumed was Loki's form after the last chapter, but super hyped to apparently get that confirmed. I guess, you know, we got to see what the model is and all that kind of stuff, right? If we're going to see it, but I did see the title. That's pretty hype. That is pretty hype. So, very, very much looking forward to this for sure. For sure. Rapo, you said I was worried that there was no stream today. I was thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was taking a nap earlier. I had all three of my cats laying either on me or next to me in some form, and I was about to drift off into a deep, deep sleep. But then I was like, you know, the chapter might drop. It's time to get up. And then it did drop, and I was like, you know what? We got time before the Cavs started. So happy to be here. So very much looking forward to this, especially now that I saw the chapter title. So I'm pretty excited for this. We're gonna get started here in just like a minute or two, just giving a little bit more time for people to roll in because, like I said, this is not the normal time, and it's I mean, usually I go live, like at 12 or 1, and now it's 5, so I don't know if people, you know, still need to get the notifications or need to read it themselves because it's so quick. So just a couple more minutes, and then we will get started. John Stoops, member for 22 months. Thank you very much, brother. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, the world may never know. If y'all are talking these high ratings already, we got to be in for another banger, which isn't a surprise, you know, I mean, given the last handful of chapters, but the title has me hyped. Gross Stonks, I'll get to yours in a second, but Gigi's Boxcar, my goat, with the 5 gifted memberships. Welcome everyone to the Afro Gang. Thank you very much, Gigi. I wish I had a Lilith card to show off or something, because Gigi, if you guys didn't know, Gigi's the #1 Lilith fan. So I was actually going through some of the cards from the last opening, and there was quite a few Liliths. I don't think I have one here though, unfortunately, but thank you very much, Gigi. Thank you. Lilith supremacy lives on for sure. And then also Gross Stonks, member for 26 months. You said Elbaf greater than Wano, peak fiction. You know, I mean, as I always say, we got to let the arc, you know, finish before we get the final ratings. But thus far, man, it's looking good for Elbaf. It's definitely looking good for Elbaf. But yeah, thank you guys again for all the donations, and thank you again, Gigi, for the 5 gifted memberships. Shout out to the 5 new members of the Afro Gang. But I see we're getting pretty close to 100 people now, so let's go ahead and get into it. Because like I said, the Cavs play later at 7 o'clock. We got a big matchup versus the #1 seeded Pistons. Rivalry game with JB Bickerstaff, so it is... got to make sure I'm prepped for that. And before we get into it, 25th Slayer, member for 9 months. I got one prediction right. Hope this isn't a spoiler. Well... I don't even remember what yours were. I'm just now remembering we did that prediction stream, which I kind of want to do that more often. But I remember you had a few of them, and I can't even remember what they are. So nope, you're good. You're good. You're good. I'm excited to see. Actually, I should probably pull up a tab with those just so I have it, just in case. I don't want to look at it yet, because just so I don't get pre-spoiled. But all right, guys. Now we're getting into it. Chapter 1175, Nidhogg with an asterisk, which worries me because it's like what if it's not the Nidhogg, right? Like if it, you know, what if the theory's wrong and it's, I don't know, it's a pump fake of some sort. I doubt it, but the asterisk does. Oh wait, kanji is Thunder Dragon. I see it now. I didn't see the translator's note. And that's interesting because earlier in the arc we saw one of the kids' drawings was Nidhogg the Lightning Dragon. And so this is tying to that, I would assume. So it's got to be Loki's fruit, right? It's got to be. It's got to be. And so we have a cover request here. Sabo getting swarmed by koala joeys. And obviously he's with Koala here, which is the joke, and I do like that. Looks like the koala's eating some eucalyptus leaves. Can't even say that. Say that 5 times fast. Cute cover story. I don't have a whole lot to say. It's cute though. All right, let's see. Now we're into the chapter. We got Sanji, probably with Ifrit Janbei, saving Robin from the thorns, which a lot of people have brought up that Sanji might fight Summers. So seeing this right now is pretty interesting. I don't know if this is foreshadowing for a potential fight or maybe the opposite. Like maybe this fulfills the connection, but good to see Robin getting freed either way. Robin, thank goodness. Thanks. That's our Sanji. So those vines are weak to higher temperatures. Much obliged. Okay, so maybe more foreshadowing for the fight. I'm afraid there's no time to celebrate. Yeah, this hockey and that roar just now. What is that massive shadow? West Village. All right, so I like that we're getting everyone's kind of like perception of the situation before we get into it, right? West Village, Ripley, Oimo, Roto? Our folks need help. They were stabbed by our thorns. Mommy's gonna die. Ain't nobody dying. Well, none of these people are dying, at least. I would hope. I would hope none of the parents are. Loki, the village isn't safe. Take the kids somewhere less dangerous. Not my problem. They went and jumped on my back. I'm just dropping them off. Wow. Okay, and we get this badass panel of Loki in his form. Another kind of, shot of him, and wow. And like you can actually see to the right, the nightmares are freaking out. There's the other Nidhogg dragon who's like very surprised to the right, as well as the Draugr, and I don't even know what the other thing is, but Loki looks awesome, guys. Honestly, he looks awesome. Dex, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I know Dex and I were talking earlier. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get the reaction started, but Dex told me he was busy tomorrow, so I was like, all right, you know what, Dex, you know what? If you're gonna be busy, I gotta do the reaction. So shout out Dex. Loving this panel of Loki here. He looks super badass. You can really get a feel for how big he is. All of you climb down now. Oh, it's Zoro. Hey, people of Elbaf, the children are safe. Thank goodness. There are no more hostages to worry about. All right. You guys took your sweet time. Don't tell me that dragon is that Zoro? Yeah, it's Zoro talking. Yup, it's Loki. This place should be safe with you here. Yeah, that's no problem. Since you've already gone giant mode, can you guys take care of those dream monsters? So, and I think we could kind of tell based off the scaling of last chapter that Luffy was already in giant mode, but Oda's not very good at scaling. That's probably one of his weak points. Thinking about Enma and Odin and Zoro and how that whole situation works, but this is confirmation that he was in giant mode, which is very cool. Can you guys take care of those dream monsters? Elbaf won't last long if we leave them be. On it. They came raining down out of nowhere. These things are... It's more thorns. Get the children inside quick. So now we have thorns raining from the sky? Give up already, you dumbasses. That creep's still after us. I ain't gonna let any of you trash heaps survive. You cheated me out of that touching moment. Alright, so again, Summers needs to get cooked, right? By any means necessary, because we kind of saw this from the last chapter, right? Where he was like so giddy about what was happening. Now he's like angry that he didn't get the final moment, right? Where the kids actually suffered and stuff. So again, Summers needs to get cooked. That's the most important agenda of all. And I'll say real quick too, these thorns coming down from the sky reminds me a lot of Kanjuro. Remember whenever they were going to like Onigashima for the first time and he revealed that he was a traitor, and he went up in the sky and had like the dangerous paint stuff falling down like they were raindrops or whatever, like arrows. I can't remember exactly, but it was raining, but I think he did arrows. Whatever it was a similar thing. Reminded me of that a little bit. Actually, this might be for the best. Since the brats were saved, I haven't failed the mission yet. I can still take them to the Holy Land as planned. But first, I'll finish off their dying parents. Taste my rapid fire thorn launcher. Yo. This guy just, I don't even know what to say anymore to this guy, you know? He is like so hateable. Like Oda's doing everything he can to make sure we despise him. And also his little thorn dragons look weird. But anyways, I won't let you. This time I'm going to save Mom and the rest. Me too. Me 3. I'm going to cry. You morons are priceless. At this point, screw it. I don't even care about the mission anymore. I'm just grateful I get to kill you guys myself. Now, who's going first? Man. I mean, I feel I can't keep harping on it because like we already hate the man, but Oda just keeps layering it on, man. Listen to this guy. I'll never forget the brave looks on your simple faces. Say goodbye now. Colin, please run. No, I'm going to protect you, Mommy. All right, what's about to happen? Shout out Colin, though, for being brave. You know what I'm saying? Like, major shout out. So we got Zoro cutting up all the thorn things. Way to go, Zoro. I knew you had this in the bag. Yeah, now go. What? Who did that? And now we got, like, round 2 of Luffy in the sky holding the lightning, which is very cool. Just like whenever he was fighting Kaido on the rooftop. Which is interesting, because I just mentioned that we had something that reminded me of Kanjuro going into Onigashima. Now we have that, which is cool, but... Gum, and now we got him, like, locking in like it's a sniper. Beep. Okay. Booming Dawn Thor rifle. That's pretty badass. I like that. So the Thor rebranding attack, big fan of that. Upgrading the Thor kind of punch here. Very cool. And we see Summers. Oh, hold on. Wait. So now we see Summers. His body's like disintegrating. I feel like this might be some ammo for the Enel video that I'm working on right now. I mean, I got to see where this goes now. Oh, man. So, because remember, Harold died to a lightning strike. Remember? Like, yes, Loki has conquerors and he's just really strong and all that, right? Obviously. But he also died to a lightning strike. And right before Harold died, he was like, I really have started thinking of myself as a god. Like, I truly believed I was one, which made me think of Enel as well. And now I'm seeing just more lightning involved in taking these guys out. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what else happens here. I like this little secondary panel too with Luffy, like just like another shot of the punch. The straw hats. Oh, it came off. Oh, because now Summers got cooked so bad that his powers canceled out. Okay. Mom, that's... Alright, so now what's good? Okay, so there's Summers. So I was wondering, like, is he, like, knocked out now? Or what's going on? I finally got to see it. Luffy-kun's white form. He really does look just like Nika. I believe he's the one. The warrior of liberation. Is this Ripley cooking now? Yo! I like Ripley dropping a little bit of lore here. Did you say Nika? That's just a tall tale told to scare kids. It's a real Nidhogg. We were really saved by that? Well, time to go. Dude, Loki looks badass. Every time we have a panel of him, he looks awesome. Like, I don't know if it's like the flaming eyes that really sell it. I guess he didn't have that in this panel up here. He had his normal eyes, but in this new one right here, he did. The flaming eyes is so cool. He looks... I think we said this last reaction, but he looks like he could be on a Yu-Gi-Oh card, right? Like, he looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster, which is very cool. Is that... That's Loki, all right. This is the first time I've seen him like this, too. So you're saying Elbaf's national treasure is... It's a forbidden devil fruit. The mythological dragon fruit. So it is a dragon fruit. Or are we going to get any other... The other part? I mean, obviously it's Nidhogg, but I was curious if there's other parts to it. It is said that whoever eats it can transform into the world's most colossal dragon. The size of the creature is relative to the initial size of whoever ate the fruit, of course. Interesting. So that might be part of the reason why Loki and or Harold, because Rox brought up Harold potentially eating the fruit. This could be why they had to eat it, potentially. Okay, buddy. Cliff, quick little update on Cliff. I don't know if I mentioned this last stream or not, but he's had he's got a couple health issues going on. He's all right. He's all right, but he had to go to the vet and he didn't like it, and he's still getting better. You okay, buddy? I think he's all right. I think he's all right. So interesting. So it has to be like a giant, or an ancient giant, I guess, would be even more preferable. Think of it this way. A giant would grow larger than a human undergoing the same transformation, and an ancient giant's growth is naturally even greater than that. That combination is what brings out the devil fruit's true potential. Interesting. I like this little diagram. They say this dragon breathes lightning, and when it flies, its jet black body can turn day into night. So it is just all black. Okay. Now, I do want to point out, it's interesting that he said it breathes lightning, because remember, the first time we saw Loki use lightning, he still had the sea stone on. So that tells us that Ragnar can also use it. So I think both of these guys have lightning powers at their disposal, which, again, makes me think of Enel even more, but that's interesting. So the fruit was forbidden and hidden due to its immense power? Not quite. It's just been protected by the Hammer Guardian Ragnar, my goat. In Elbaf, there is a legend about a god of war who fought with Ragnar. Wow. It is said that he took the form of a giant dragon and he locked horns with the sun god. He was accompanied by a loyal partner, the ice squirrel Ratatoskr, from the legend, from the Norse myth of Ratatoskr and Nidhogg and the eagles, which now makes me wonder, who is the eagle? That I feel like is the big question right now for sure. I like the Shanks and Griffin idea potentially that a lot of people pointed out from that video, but very interesting. So now it's almost like, so Loki is the god of war, or like the god of Elbaf or whatever, right? And so now he fought the sun god back then. This is very interesting. After his master died, they say the loyal Ratatoskr came to possess the weapon Ragnar. So, yeah, so I guess that is an important point here. The hammer and the squirrel were separate originally. Came to possess the weapon Ragnar and awaits his master's return, or so the legend goes. But it seems Ragnar is no longer acting as a guard for the fruit's power. It's finally made its choice. It chose Loki. Oh, man. That is so cool. That is just such a cool, like, little story there. And the, like, him making his choice. It's like, you know, I think I mentioned this in the video, I think on maybe Ragnar, I can't remember, one of the videos I did, but like we've seen that kind of weapon choosing their wielder thing so many times with like swords in particular. Kozaburo talked about that, and we kind of saw that with Enma a lot. And there's also, you know, like creatures picking their master in a way. You know, like the Sea Kings only listen to Poseidon and stuff like that. Like it's a, and also like Laboon's only waiting for Brook, right? All those kind of things. So I think it's just so cool to have this where, you know, Ragnar picked Loki. But now we see all of the nightmares running away because they're so scared of Loki. Look how much bigger he is than the other Nidhogg. Now we see him charging up his attack, like he's a blue eyes white dragon. I forget. I think, is there a name for the attack? I don't know. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, I can't remember, but it's what it reminds me of for sure. I guess red eyes black dragon's more appropriate, but that's a crazy crazy explosion. Trudheim? I don't know how you would pronounce that, but massive lightning bolt, and we even see Gunkmoo is a little concerned there. And where's Brook at, by the way? Where's Brook at? What happened to Brook? So we see like all the nightmares kind of wasting away, specifically the Nidhogg, which is very cool. Then we see Luffy and Ragnar on top of Loki's head. So that is it. And we see Emu like wait. So that is it. The Nidhogg. It was here. It was here all along. A quirk of fate. So Emu is confused about like Emu didn't know that it was here. Like Emu seemed to be interested in it. And Emu's surprised. And I feel like I gotta point out the fact that we're seeing Emu and Gunkmoo kind of right next to each other. And like Emu, so it's like Emu's like controlling Gunko like remotely. It's not like Emu actually went there is what it's looking like. Like Emu is still physically in Marijois, but also controlling Gunko at the same time. I guess technically, so we see Emu eyes over here in the bottom right on this final double page spread, but on the left, we don't see the double ring, so I don't know if that's a sign that Emu like went back. Maybe that's what it's telling us. I don't know, but it is interesting that we're seeing Emu like back in Marijois, right? I feel like that's just a interesting touch there. So I got a lot of thoughts. This was like, I was not expecting this at all, this chapter. There's like so much to this. So one thing that I think is worth pointing out is going back to this God of War thing, right? How he fought the sun god, which I think is surprising. Remember how, I think it was still Gunko at the time, said like, whichever side the giants pick will greatly change the outcome of the war. I wonder if that's because like, if the next version of this guy, this God of War, were to team up with the Sun God instead of being opposed, then Emu might be cooked, or like the world government might be cooked. Because if they opposed each other in the past, then that might have been a factor as to why the Sun God wasn't successful back then, is what I'm thinking. And so now with Loki and Luffy probably teaming up, that's like the worst case scenario for Emu. And that could maybe be part of why Emu is like concerned about the Nidhogg fruit now, because it's like, you know, like by saying it was here all along, that tells me that maybe like the Gomu or Nika fruit, whatever, Emu might have been looking for this one and they just couldn't find it. And now, you know, like these two fruits are coming back to bite them in a major way. It kind of seems to be the case. So maybe Emu was hoping to get this so Emu could stop the next version of the Nidhogg from teaming up with the next Nika or something. Whatever it is, there's got to be some important lore to this, right? Like, there's got to be... This is obviously a major story. Like Emu's concerned about this, right? So this is going to be really important. It also doesn't look like we have a break next week, which is good. Color spread and cover coming next week. All right, very cool. Very cool. Love the color spreads. I got to look up this Thrudheim thing. Because remember, we had Niflheim for the cold one. So, in Nordic mythology, Thrudheim, I don't know I think that's how you say it, which means home of strength in Old Norse, is the home of Thor, according to some old poem. But in another book, the name of Thor's residence is something else. I don't know I have no idea how to pronounce that. So I guess this place is at least attributed to Thor's homeland, and that's why it's a giant lightning bolt or lightning cannon. I don't know what you want to call it. Giant lightning strike. So I feel like there's a lot to pull out of this chapter. Like, there's so much to say. I'm kind of sad that it dropped a little bit later, because like, if this was yesterday, I might have to do like a video on this. Or maybe, I mean, I'll probably do a redacted video on it regardless. But I was, you know, it's a little bit late now. I got to get this NL video done, which now I feel like I got other things to talk about potentially. And so I mentioned this earlier with like bringing up NL, like whenever Summers was like, you know, absolutely getting cooked by the lightning attack from Luffy. it makes me wonder, you know, now that it's confirmed that Loki has lightning powers as well, and like I said, Ragnar also does because Ragnar brought lightning down when Loki still had Sea Stone on. It makes me feel like the Gods Knights might actually be weak to lightning. Like, that's like one of their biggest weaknesses, which would be kind of fitting because if Luffy is a rubber man and he's immune to electricity, then it would be interesting that there's like the opposition there, right? Where like one, it's like their biggest weakness, and one, they're not that weak to it. Like, it would feel weird that lightning is like that important, but I mean, look at this. Like, look, I feel like the, you know, with him having the Nidhogg fruit, which lets him kind of use lightning, and we're seeing how strong that is. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Yeah, and Hydrogene, sorry if I'm butchering your name, but I have the at name, so I don't know what the display one is. But fire and lightning, yeah, because remember earlier in Elbaf, we learned that Elbaf's greatest weaknesses were fire and lightning, and so I don't know if that ties into it some way as well. It's interesting that one of their biggest weaknesses is lightning, but that's also like their greatest strength with the fruit, right? I think this is all so interesting. Like that, like this random little legend about the God of War fighting the Sun God. And also, yeah, like, now we see Ragnar, or Ratatoskr, and the hammer were separate, so we got to figure that out too, right? How did they merge into one? Is it, you know, the hammer with the squirrel zone, which I think probably makes the most sense, but also it could be squirrel with a hammer fruit. But I guess they're saying right here, the God of War fought with Ragnar, so that tells me that that hammer is literally the same hammer, but it just had Ratatoskr imbued into it. So it must be a zone fruit, but then how did they turn this into a fruit, right? This Ratatoskr. That's the... I don't know. There's so many questions. So many questions. All right, let's go ahead and get into some super chats here. I know you guys had a few rolling in here. Oh, wait, actually, let me go ahead and look at some of these predictions that we were talking about. One of my predictions was that we were going to get back to Zoro. I said Zoro, Dory, and Brogy, but we got back to Zoro at least, so that kind of works. Well, 25th Slayer was the one you were talking about. Emu traumatized by Luffy. Was it that one? Because I think your other one was Jinbei puts out a fire, which I don't think happened yet, unless I'm totally blanking. Bushido said Sanji attacks Summers, which almost happened. So hey, we got a couple predictions right from the community. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. All right, guys. Now we're gonna get into the super chats. Like I said, let's see. Quanidin, I did yours. Where am I at? Oh, XL Bean Boy, my goat, member for 35 months, almost 3 years, man. Seriously, thank you. Who y'all think is bigger, Loki or Balerion from Game of Thrones? I don't know who that is. You guys can let me know in the chat. I'm gonna look it up to see. Oh, so this is, it's looking like another dragon. Oh, and he's looking pretty big from what I'm seeing on some of these some of these images. I mean, I'm going Loki, but you know, I'm also in the dark here. I'm a One Piece homer, but thank you, Bean Boy, appreciate you. Reese Lucas, the Lonely Mage, member for 39 months, man. That is crazy. Thank you. You just said hello, dude. Hello. I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you're doing well. Been a minute since I feel like I talked to you. I mean, we talk every week on the streams, but I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you're gonna. I know you were doing content for a while. I don't know if you paused or if you're gonna get back to it, but I hope you get back to it, man. I hope you do. Kush Daddy with the $20 super chat. I'm gonna scroll. Nope. I'm trying to find it in the chat. I really don't like reading it from Streamlabs because the text is kind of small. Give me 1 second. There it is. Crazy we got revealed how devil fruits may work. Ratatoskr wasn't a devil fruit. They actually existed and willed themselves into an object. Meaning each devil fruit had an actual original person or being that was put into a devil fruit, meaning Nika did exist. Yeah, and I think that's very interesting. That's a really good point. Like I think the question is like, is it as simple as just like willing himself into an object? Like is it just kind of like a happenstance magic kind of thing? Or is there science to it where like they sought out how to make devil fruits because they wanted to be imbued into objects or just, you know, make their way into the future, right? It's like, what was the process that turned them into that? I feel like is the big question, but we definitely did get a hint from this situation, right? Like the fact that Ratatoskr was a separate being, and going to your point about like mythical fruits, really, like with Nika existing, that's the interesting part to me, because like with mythical fruits in particular, I feel like we've kind of wondered, like, did these creatures actually exist? Because like with all the other zone forms, especially after what we saw with Caesar, you could reason that just science could, you know, like one way or another make these kind of fruits and help people transform, at least into those. But I mean, and Paramecia and Logia are also a big question, but I feel like, at least for zones, like mythical was the big question mark. Like, were these real? Because if they were, that explains where they got like the lineage factor to make the zone fruits later on or whatever, right? But if they weren't real, then people had to like make these off of their imagination to a point. And seeing Ratatoskr here, and he's the ice squirrel, so he probably already had powers back then, that, I guess that points us towards the fact that there were, like, quote-unquote mythical creatures. Now, you know, I say quote-unquote because, you know, maybe these creatures, there's, like, a better explanation for how they existed, but we're just being told they were mythical because it's, like, you know, stories have been passed down over the centuries or whatever. So maybe Ratatoskr is just a regular giant squirrel from Elbaf, and maybe he did get ice powers, or he was born with them, but maybe that was just, like, more common back then. Like, there was a lot of creatures like that, maybe. Or maybe he didn't even have ice powers, but whenever he got made into a fruit, that's where, like, imagination comes in, and he was, like he got ice powers added onto him. I don't know. But either way, I agree that this is a big hint into kind of the history of devil fruits for sure. Like, and actually, I just realized too, so they call him the ice squirrel, which explains the Niflheim thing. But we saw them use lightning before Loki had the sea stone off. And so now I'm led to believe that if Ratatoskr is just an ice squirrel, so he doesn't have lightning powers, then Ragnar itself, the hammer, must have some lightning in it. I'm guessing is where this is going. And I feel like this god of war that they're talking about has to be named Thor. Like that, like the original one, right? He's got to be named Thor. I feel like he just has to. He just has to. But thank you, Kush. Thank you. Where am I at now? Let's see. What is the next super chat? 25th Slayer. God of War horns look like Onigashima. That's interesting. So maybe his head is Onigashima Island. And shout out to Growth Song. Yeah, I just saw this after I was already saying it. I was gonna see if you were in the chat. So you said it down here. Yes, my Ryugashima stocks are paying off. So shout out to Growth Stonks. He's been on the, I don't know what you want to call it, but he's been the #1 reminder of the Ryugashima thing, where that was like supposed to be the original name of Onigashima. And Ryu is dragon, so if you have Dragon Gashima and then Onigashima, which, like, maybe the Onis have a tie to ancient giants, we still don't really know much about that, but my headcanon right now is that Onis are to ancient giants what Buccaneers are to regular giants in some way, so there is a connection, even if they're not the same. But regardless, the fact, you know, now we're seeing this guy, this God of War guy, and, you know, he's tied to the Nidhogg, and Onigashima was Ryugashima. It's like that I like. That makes a lot of sense. That's why they would have called it, because like Onigashima could be the head of an Oni, or I guess it'd be an ancient giant, but again, there might be a connection, and also the head of a dragon at the same time, right? If it was this guy, and with him being this big, that could be why it's like the island is so big. So I like that. That sounds like a very highly likely theory. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Spencer 5175 with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Spencer. Emu realizing the Norse god Devil Fruit has been in the Norse land this whole time. I can't believe this happened. Yeah, it doesn't look good for Emu. At least in the context of, like, Emu being some kind of mastermind, right? It does not look good. Like, and it's funny you put the O.O face, because that's, like, literally what Emu's doing, right? In the one where it says, so that is it, and it has, like, Gunko right next to Emu's face. That is literally what Emu's face looks like. They are just, like, surprised, you know, like, dead staring towards us, like... It's not a good look for Emu. Like, you would think... I mean, Emu's just got to go study some history, you know? If the world government stopped burning all the libraries, Emu might know that Nidhogg ties to Norse legends, and could have known that Elbaf ties to some Norse legends, but... You know, they're burning too many libraries. You know, this is the downside to bombing all of the scholars that are evacuating Ohara. Nobody can tell you that Nidhogg would probably be an Elbaf, you know? So this is why we can't be burning books, guys. It's right here. This is exactly why. It's going to come back to bite you big time. Growth Stonks with the $5 super chat. Big W for the Nidhogg gang. Sadly, no Skyfish fruit, but did you notice the blast is so similar to an L's Mark Maxim blast? Uranus stocks up. Yeah, sadly, no Skyfish or fish fruit, although, like I was saying, we didn't get the full name, so it isn't a fish model like I was hoping, or Skyfish like you and I talked about, but they just said mythological dragon fruit, and that's it. So it's probably dragon fruit model Nidhogg, and maybe that's or like Nidhogg the lightning dragon, and maybe that's it. But they didn't say the whole thing, which makes me think there could be like an extra little layer to it. Maybe. I'm coping a little bit, but anytime they don't give us the full name, I got like question marks everywhere. It's kind of like with the Gorosei and stuff. Like, we didn't get their all we got was the creature. We didn't get a fruit, so I'm like, well, maybe they don't have them then, right? But I didn't really notice the similarity to the Maxim blast. I'll have to go. Oh, so I guess, are you talking about the explosion part? I was thinking more of like the charge up in the initial couple panels, but the explosion, yeah, you're totally right. It definitely does. Because remember, like Enel before he lost and everything, he put like, he destroyed part of Skypiea, like he had like a little hole in the White Sea, which definitely looks a lot like Lelucia, you know, having a hole in the Blue Sea. And this does look similar to that. It definitely does. And yeah, I feel like Uranus has to tie to this. Like Loki just is Uranus, or I don't even know what else it would be. I feel like Loki, that's got to be it at this point. If he's able to bring down lightning like this, and you know, Nidhogg has ice powers, so also that actually made me think. Going back to how Loki quote unquote made it snow a bunch of times in Elbaf, because like whenever he was a kid, all of Elbaf went through like a really harsh winter, and it was while Loki was kind of getting, you know, left behind or abused by his mom or whatever you want to call it. And then it stopped right whenever she died. And then multiple other times when Loki was upset, it snowed and then stopped later, right? So it feels like there was a connection there. And also remember last chapter, they brought up like, oh, snow is going to rain down and lightning and whatever. So now that we know Ragnar, or Ratatoskr, I should say, has snow powers or ice powers, was that like him reacting to Loki's emotions or something like that? Like, could he sense that like the future Nidhogg was unhappy or something? You know, like maybe it is Loki actually doing it himself, but I don't know, because like Ragnar was just in the castle the whole time, and I don't know if he'd be able to like pick up on it, but it seems like he's the source of it. So we do have a little weird situation, I feel like, with the powers, you know, because going back to Loki using lightning with Sea Stone, there is a little bit of a weird mix and matching here, but I feel like Loki being Uranus is pretty likely. JR Rider 203 with the $5. Not saying the glimpse we got is the whole thing, but the Holy Land doesn't seem on fire anymore. Maybe the need to rush back to Marijwa is gone. That's a good point. That's a really good point, because it looks completely normal here. Like, I would probably chalk it up to, like, there is fire there, we just can't see it in this shot, but even that feels weird. Like, maybe Oda just forgot that it's supposed to be on fire right now, you know what I mean? That might be the case, because he's definitely done that a few times. But that is weird. That is really weird. There's, like, nothing wrong with Marijois. And the thing is there's not even like an aftermath. Like, it'd be one thing if there was no more fire, but there was like a couple broken buildings or something, so we know like the fighting was over. But there's nothing. So I'm gonna lean towards Oda just forgetting or purposefully showing us a non-scathed part so we don't think too much about it. But that is really weird. That is really weird. It is really weird. 25th Slayer with the $5. Robin gets freed. Wasn't up on the list, but it was the first thing that happened. Got you. Yeah, I don't think I ended up putting that one on the list, but that was like literally the first thing. So that's like the ultimate prediction winner, right? If you predict something from the next chapter and it's the first thing we see, that's like the biggest W, right? That's like you knew. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I wish I would have put that one on the board, because that's crazy. That's some legit future sight. That's some Katakuri Luffy type stuff for sure. That's some, actually, you know what? That's some Madame Shiarly type stuff. That might be like the Harley text, which I think I mentioned this last week, but I think it's wordplay from the Discord who brought it up, but Charlie and Harley gotta have a connection, right? Like in English, Charlie is spelled literally like Harley with an S in front, and both are predicting stuff. They got to be connected. And it's going to be really crazy, because remember, Charlie and Arlong are siblings. It's going to be really crazy if Arlong is related to Harley from the Harley text. That would be the most random and craziest connection of all time. Let's see. David Cott with the €2. I miss this kind of warm Luffy-Zoro interaction. Agreed. That's something I feel like we've really needed. You know, and I remember like in the early parts of Wano when Luffy and Zoro first met up with each other, and Oda gave them like the fight against Hawkins just to kind of, I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons, but in my opinion, one of the reasons is like just to, you know, we love the Zoro and Luffy interaction, so he just gave us one right. So he just gave us one right away, you know, where against like a somewhat competent opponent. I mean, Hawkins that was probably the most competent he's ever looked against Zoro and Luffy. And so I felt like that was a good, like, you know, Oda just wanted to show us that for a little bit and let us live in that, you know, nostalgic moment for a little bit. This was a little bit like that. A little bit. Like, they didn't really fight together, right? So, and hopefully they do. But it is cool seeing them interact. Hoping for more for sure. This is a good arc for the Monster Trio in general to step up with the whole, like, Conquerors Hockey necessity, which we got to figure out Sanji's situation, but definitely a good chance for them to ball out. For sure. Let's see. Time Lord with the $2 super chat. Hope you're doing well, Time Lord. What's Nika's fruit spirit look like? A cat or a mouse? Or are you talking about like with like Ratatosker being like a squirrel? Like is that what you're talking about? What would Nika's look like? What's tied to like rubber? I'm trying to think. I mean, it should be a monkey, right? Should be a monkey. I would say. And actually, you go back to like Skypiea. I remember they had like on the bell there was the monkey with the straw hat, which is like that always kind of stood out to me as like really important. So maybe that's it. It should be a monkey. Like Plume Black Hat brought up a human as well. Could be that because if Nika just really is just a human and whatever, right? That might be all it is. But but if we're gonna like make a creature for it, it should be a monkey. I feel like if Nika themselves was probably a human, but I honestly, what if they were a monkey that wanted to be human, and that's why it's a human fruit, right? And remember how the minx said that humans are hairless monkey minks? I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Let's see. Cloud Lizard, are you next? I think you are next. Cloud Lizard with the $10 super chat. Cloud Lizard, appreciate you. Glad you could make it. Just got here. I'll have to listen to the live stream tomorrow while at work. Where is our guy, Brooke? Dude, I was asking the same thing. I was asking the same question, man. Did Emu already dispatch Brooke completely? Like, it's not even like he's tied up next to Gunkmoo. He's just gone. And Gunkmoo's just watching the scene. What are your takes on what Franky and Lilith could be cooking up right now? New giant mecha? That's a really good question. Because I think the last time we saw Franky was at the lab. I think Franky was like shooting a radical beam at one of the guys who climbed up one of the nightmares, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. I mean, they got to be looking around the lab, but at the same time, like, they aren't just gonna abandon everything going on. Like, if they're gonna stay in the lab, it's because they think they found something that will help them get past this situation, right? What it reminds me of a little bit, and this would be a fun idea. I don't know how it would work, but if you go back to Thriller Bark, Franky disappeared for a little bit because he went down into like the freezer part where they were keeping ores, and he brought up like a cannon that was like an ice cannon thing to like freeze everybody. And so I don't know if it's going to be ice, especially because we already have Ragnar here for the ice factor, but maybe he's able to, you know, bring something out of the lab to use in this fight similarly against ores. That would be kind of interesting. It feels like at this point lightning would make the most sense because it seems like that's maybe a key to defeating the Gods Knights, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else it would be. I'm trying to think, like maybe something Heaven Realm related somehow. I don't know what that would be, but my original thought is Franky would find a new energy source. Yeah, that could work too. It kind of fits the same theme as what I was saying with like the ice from Thriller Bark, at least in the sense of like, you know, he's going to be able to go through the lab and find another important power source, energy source, whatever you want to call it, to use like in these fights. Like maybe he's going to upgrade his, well, I don't know. I was going to say upgrade like the radical beam, but he probably would do something else. Like maybe because like, I feel like it'd be kind of hard to upgrade his radical beam like that quickly, you know what I'm saying? But maybe he finds like a separate weapon to use with that power source or something. I don't know, that would kind of make sense. And I'm also thinking too, like, you know, we need a little bit of Atom Tree like lore or hype in some way, and that lab is inside the Atom Tree, and it would make sense that Franky of all people would find like something special about the Atom Tree to use. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's gonna find the real reason the Adam and Eve trees are so important. Maybe the Atom Tree will also hold the key as to why the Eve tree emits sunlight to the bottom of the ocean. Like maybe there's like a power source within the tree or something like that. I don't know. I feel like we're definitely in surefire tinfoil territory, but Franky needs, like, we need some Atom Tree hype. That's for dang sure. That's for sure. Also, my chat froze. I'm gonna try fixing it. You guys know this happens at least like once a stream where I gotta like load up a new tab. But I don't know. Whatever Franky's doing, I feel like that's gonna be a really important thing. Is that lab Emmett's, and he was the Franky of Joy Boy's crew, but he was an ancient giant. That is interesting. If Emmett has a tie to that lab, which I wouldn't be that surprised about. That could be a cool connection as well. Or if it's not Emeth's, well, Emeth could... I was going to say if not Emeth's, it could be Gale Ra, right? Because that would tie to Gale La, which would be another reason for Franky to find it. Because you could merge the Atom Tree and Gale La, Gale Ra lore all into one thing, which that would be actually really interesting. And it also seems very likely that Emeth was running on like the ancient power source, like the really good one that the Vegapunk wasn't able to figure out. And if he was running on it and Franky went into that tree and found it, that would actually be why Lilith is there as well, because in the early part of Egghead, Lilith was the one telling us that, like, forget the exact dialogue, but basically like, yeah, we're always looking for new sources of energy, and if we perfected it, we'd be able to make our own sun, which was like the sign to me at least that, you know, they haven't perfected the energy thing, but if they did, it would be good enough to maybe do something like we see at Enies Lobby and make a sun so it's, you know, daylight 24/7 like in Enies Lobby, maybe, which we don't know what the source of that is, but it's always the first thing I think of. So if Lilith and Franky, who were having that discussion about alternative power sources and making your own sun and all that, and again, going back to the Eve Tree, which does, like, it does act as Fishman Island's own sun, maybe there is a story there, actually. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we're actually cooking. I feel like we're on to something. Andy Dollif, you said cola was originally green. Are you saying that's what he's going to find out in the lab? If he found new cola, that would actually be really sick. I would like. That I would really like. Some Elbaf cola, some Viking cola, like maybe it was like made a different way. Remember how we saw like the fermented meat in Egghead? It could be like that, like they just made it a totally different way. Let's see. Plume Black Hat, you said, I wonder why Franky's so interested in atom wood instead of metals. Well, he is interested in metal at least a little bit because of Wapo metal, right? Because that's what the Franky Shogun's made of. But I think, I mean, you know, I feel like a lot of ships are typically made of wood, at least like traditionally. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good, you know, metal ships as well, especially like now in current times. But I think that might be part of it, is just like, I don't know, just the, you got, you know, he was trained by Tom in the traditional ways of ship making, you know, like maybe that's part of it. But maybe there is an advantage. I don't know. I mean, doesn't wood like float better or something? Or maybe it's like, I don't know. There's probably some use to it. I know in Bragman they talked about burning wood that you're going to use for a ship because it makes it more durable. I know that they talked about that. So I don't know. Malik F15 with the $2 super chat. Love your channel. What type of camera or software do you use? Thank you very much, brother. As for a camera, I use Canon EOS R10. I had to look at some of the numbers on it because I forget. So this is like a really good camera that, like, it's not like the highest end, you know, like pro photographers probably aren't using this, but it is like a legit really nice camera. So this was a big upgrade. It is kind of expensive, but I do recommend it if you're gonna, you know, show your face and stuff. Like, again, it's not super necessary, but I find it useful. I've also used it in some stuff outside of YouTube that was nice to, like, shoot some videos and take some pictures for some companies and stuff for some freelance work. So that's always nice to have it for that reason. It's almost paid itself off. As far as software, for editing, I use Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Photoshop for thumbnails, so I'm definitely an Adobe guy. But I'm gonna be honest, like, DaVinci is probably just as good or arguably better, or even CapCut, depending on the type of content you're making. So you don't have to get the Adobe ones, even though those are kind of like the top level. But I would, you can always use Photopea to replace Photoshop. It's a free version that you can find online. And like I said, DaVinci's kind of free, so you don't have to pay anything, but I do use the big boy brands for sure. I just started that way. I did some graphic design classes when I was like in high school and stuff, and they always had us use Adobe, so I was just kind of like grandfathered into it. But you can use almost anything. Michael Hollenbach, you said at the lab, the Ancient Kingdom cola machine got turned when Luffy arrived in Gear 5. Yeah, I guess, yeah, whenever you're talking about, like, when Luffy... Or I guess I'm thinking about Egghead. I was thinking about Egghead, because I was thinking Luffy sitting in front of the... Remember when Luffy was, like, eating all the food in front of the machine, and then whenever he woke up, you know, the whole place started shaking? I was thinking of that at first. It would be crazy if the lab inside the Atom Tree actually has some kind of cola. I think that would be... Like, there's no way that the Ancient Kingdom power source just is some weird cola, right? Like, there's no way that's the answer. It's got to be something deeper than that, right? Because I mean, I just got to throw it out there. Like, is it possible that cola was so good back then that that was what they... Like, that just seems so weird, but, like, in One Piece, I don't know. I don't know. And actually, maybe it's not cola. Maybe it's sake. And maybe that's what Binks Sake is it's the source of the ancient power. Like, I'm just saying. Look, I don't know. I'm just saying. Oh yeah, Cloud Lizard, Binks Sake was actually cola so kids could party. We might be cooking. The Mother Flame is cola. Yeah, what if the Mother Flame... Well, Vegapunk was, like, really surprised at Franky bringing up cola, so maybe that's not it. But it would be funny if the liquid the Mother Flame was in was cola for some reason. I feel like there's no way this is going to happen, but the more we keep talking about it, the more I'm, like, headcanoning it into existence. Binks Sake is ginger ale. Okay, Straw Hat AP, you're cooking. Straw Hat AP, you're cooking. We do kind of have a soda ale combo already. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm kind of stunned to think, like, there's no, I mean, and actually Brooks had a lot of focus lately, and so if Binks Sake was going to warp its way into the arc, it would kind of make sense. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like too crazy. I don't know. A recipe is a hilarious answer to the One Piece. That would be very unexpected. Cola blends earth, air, and water. Pirate rum and coke. I swear to God, if this ends up being true, I'm gonna clip this and it's gonna go in a video. I don't know what the video will even say, but if this comes true, it's definitely gonna be like my chat guessed it or something. Because I'm kind of stunned thinking about it. I remember in the early parts of Egghead, I had an idea, and I forget, it was not in the context that we're talking about, but I remember having an idea that Binks Sake could be some sort of power because, like if you had an infinite source of alcohol and it was on fire, like maybe it would burn continuously. I forget what the context was, but it was not exactly what we're saying now. But it would be kind of fitting if Binks Sake was actually like the source of the greatest power. I don't know. I love it. It's a very One Piece thing. And then would the One Piece be Binks Sake? And it's like, you know, hey, with this you can have unlimited power is like the idea. Is that where we're headed? I don't know. Wizdro. What the hell is Lilith cooking? Are the Weatheria wizard dudes linking up with Vegapunk along with Vivi? I'm glad you brought this up. It's very fitting that you brought this up of all people because your name is Wizdro, and so Wiz at the beginning immediately made me think of the wizards at Weatheria. But Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm working on this video about what really happened with Enel and Burka. I've mentioned it a few times, and one of the things I bring up is that we know the story of Burka is really important and has to come to light soon because the like Wadaria is relevant again, and Haradas is Birkin. He's from the same place as Enel and probably Yarouge. And so that would be like a natural way to kind of bring Burka back into the story. And tying to that even more, remember whenever we were on the Moon City, like in Enel's cover story, we met some space pirates up there, and their Jolly Roger looked like Vegapunk's head. And we also met somebody named Dr. Tsukimi, who was on Vegapunk's home island, and he made these little robots that look like the ones on the moon. And so that's like a clear tie between Vegapunk and the Moon City of Burka. And then Wadaria is a clear tie between Vegapunk and the other Burka. At least not as clear of a tie, but you know, if he's gonna tie to Haradas in some way, that provides a potential Burka connection, I would say. And so with the high-tech Moon City being, high-tech Moon City being high-tech, obviously. With Burka being a high-tech city up on the moon, and with Vegapunk having a high-tech city on Egghead and him being just a highly advanced guy in general, I feel like the Sky Island Burka was probably also advanced and probably also tying to Vegapunk. And so I feel like there's a huge story there that we're about to get kind of like unveiled. And I don't know, maybe Vivi does tie into it because she's like in the flying ship and everything. Or maybe they just pull up to Elbaf and we get involved with them like when we go to the Heaven Realm, which I think is maybe a little more likely. But one way or another, those wizard guys are going to like be really important in this arc, right? Like they have to be. They have to be. Shout out Haradas. Yeah, Haradas is a real one. Like, he's such a cool character. Like Oda adding these little wizard guys. And by the way, in the cover story, I forget which one. From the Decks of the World, maybe? I don't remember. Or no. I think it was the Straw Hat Separation serial. Whatever it was. Doesn't matter. We see Haradas, like, go down to the Blue Sea and visit another island and talk to them about their weather problems and offer to fix it with some of their technology. Which reminded me a lot of, like, Alabasta, for one thing, because, like, we learned that, you know, that, like, messing up the weather like that, like, isn't a good thing, right? It can lead to bad outcomes and stuff for at least certain people. But it also reminded me of Vegapunk, because Vegapunk wanted to fix the weather over on Karakuri Island. That was, like, his original dream. And I just thought that was crazy, that Haradas is, like, just selling his weather services around the world, right? Like, just going around like, oh, you don't like... or you need more rain? We'll just pay us however much and we'll hook you up. I just think that's kind of crazy. Real Tony 122, you said, hey Dak, remember that originally there was an alternative way to go to Skypiea besides knock-up streams? Are you on the train that the Heaven Realm leads to the White Sea? 100%. 100,000,000%. It's called the Summit of High West. I think that's definitely Elbaf. If it's not Elbaf, then I'm thinking that there's probably another Atom Tree, because we learned that there were multiple Atom Trees. So maybe another one would be the way to get to the Summit of High West. But even if that's true, I think the Heaven Realm would still connect to it in some way. Like there maybe every Atom Tree is interconnected throughout the world as like almost like a bus station, right? Or a train station for people to get around. Like, we had the sea train in Water 7. Maybe we're going to have the sky train at some point, which we kind of like saw that, not really a sky train, but we did have like the lobster thing that pulled you through the clouds. So we kind of had a version of it, but yeah, I think the Heaven Realm definitely is tied to the Summit of High West for sure. And I think that's part of the reason why, like, we haven't seen the Heaven Realm yet. But conversely, we didn't see Harold interact with any Sky Islands during his flashback either, which I think is a little peculiar, because if Skypiea, or any Sky Islands really tied to the top of the Atom Tree into the Heaven Realm and stuff, then you would think that, like, Elbaf is very aware of that, right? And especially Harold being the king. We saw him go all the way down to the bottom of the sea and meet King Neptune, but we did not see him go to the sky, which his own island might have a path to. And I feel like there's a reason for that, which is that, like, there's a whole layer of this, of like Sky Island connectivity to Elbaf that Oda's just like avoiding for now. But like I mentioned with Haradas and him maybe showing up to this arc because of the Punk Record stuff, whether it's maybe an L coming back because now we have another god bringing down lightning and all that kind of stuff, feels very much like Burka, the Sky Islands, Summit of High West, like all this stuff has to come to light very soon. It, like Oda's really been just kind of ducking it the whole time. But I don't, and actually I bring this up in my video too, but if you go back to the Roger flashback, he visited Skypiea, but all we saw was him looking for the poneglyph and reading it. We didn't see him talking to any Skypieans or anything like that, which, like, I would imagine, you know, if you're going to go up there, like, they're going to ask you, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? We saw at least Amazon was taking the toll. I forget how much it was, but it was like a ton of money to, you know, go up there and stuff like that. And like, they're pretty protective of these places. And so, and this was before an L ever took over. So like, I would imagine that like, if you're going to go over there and look for it, like the Skypians are going to ask you something. But like in the manga, they completely skipped that. They just showed Roger going to the poneglyph and that's it. In the anime, they showed him waving goodbye to the Skypians, which that's a whole other thing. But it just feels like Oda's really ducked the Skypiea stuff, right? Sky Island stuff. And also remember, Mars looks just like Gonfall. And that tells me there's an obvious connection there that we have to learn about with the world government and Sky Islands. That would tell me the world government definitely knows that Sky Islands exist. They've probably been there. And I don't know, like I said, I just think there's a lot of stuff that Oda's just kind of, he's ducking it. He doesn't want to show us anything in regards to the Sky Islands. Is how it feels. Her SF3KJ. I don't know what your display name is. I'm sorry. It's probably something else. But you said Mole is the Earth Train. 100%. 100%. You know. There was one other thing I was going to answer. I'm trying to find it here. One of you guys asked me who's going to be the redacted guest. I can't find who said that. It was 25th Slayer. I don't know. I got to figure that out. It might just be me this week. I might just do a review myself. Although this was such a hype chapter, I would like to get somebody on for sure. But now it's like it's kind of late. I'll have to reach out to some people. I don't know. I didn't have anybody planned for this week, so I'll have to see what I can do. Is it Bushido? Is Bushido the redacted guest? I'm gonna have to save that for the Carrot episode. Whenever I do a Carrot, an episode just on Carrot, which, yeah, I'm hurrying to get that one done. You know, I'm just dying to hurry up and do that. I'll get Bushido on for sure. Jewel Tree OP member for 24 months, 2-year celebration. Thank you very, very much. 10 out of 10, liked the stream. Thank you. Yes, guys, if you have not liked the stream yet, please do if you wouldn't mind. This was a great chapter. Is it a 10 out of 10? This would have been a 10 out of 10 like a year ago, but now the scale has changed so much that this is like, it's like a 9.5. It's definitely at least a 9 because we got so much lore, and we also had lightning powered Luffy again, which that's bonus points. Robin getting saved by Sanji, which is bonus points. More shots of Loki's fruit. 9.5. 9.5. Cloud Lizard over Easter weekend. Yep. Over that. That's what I'm waiting on. Easter weekend, guys. I'm gonna get the Carrot video done with Bushido for sure. Is it the year of the rabbit, or was that last year? Hopefully it was last year. So then we'll have. How long is it? Like 12 more years until the next one? Actually, I think I showed you guys last week, but I do have a semi-cool Carrot card here. Somewhere over here. We did pull a Carrot out of our last box opening. And it was actually a decent card, honestly. Not gonna hate on Carrot for that. Mr. Bushido is here. He is. I don't think he's here. Which I think it's because the stream was a little bit later than normal. He's usually here, but he's not here. He'll probably watch the VOD. So Bushido, if you're watching, much love. To you, you know, sometimes to Carrot, sometimes it depends, but to you for sure. Return to Long Ring Longland confirmed. Birch, sign me up. Actually, Birch, I know you're pumped for this Burka video, because did you guys know that Burka can also translate to birch? That is a true fact. That is a true fact. So Birch was actually born in Burka, as a matter of fact. But don't ask him. Don't just trust me. You don't have to ask him. Just trust me. That's a true fact. He was actually born there, and then they named it after him, or was he named after it? That I'm not sure. Jewel Tree, you said anyone thinking the God of War is Onigashima Skull? Yes, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Definitely, because the original name of Onigashima was also Ryugashima, which is like Dragon Gashima, and you know, this being called Onigashima. Onis probably have a tie to ancient giants, so it could make a lot of sense that that's who it is. Which I think that'd be very cool. You know, there was a lot of theories about it being Joy Boy's skull, which I thought was really cool, but I always felt like, I don't know, like that's almost too cool, you know, to like take like the most important person in the story and put it there. Like I felt like the moment, as cool as Onigashima is and how big for the story that was, I just felt like maybe Oda can do something a little different and make it hype a different way, and I like this one more. And then maybe Joy Boy's body will be at Laugh Tale or something like that, right? Number one Jinx fan. Summer's getting destroyed also gets points for this chapter. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's always worth a lot of points, because that man, I was hoping this was the final blow, you know? I do like that Oda's made Summers a little bit of like a rag doll, where like he got cooked, you know, by by Rayleigh. I almost got them all confused. He got cooked by Rayleigh at God Valley, and then he got cooked by Scopper here earlier in Elbaf, and now he's getting cooked again. So I do like that. That's major bonus points. Major bonus points. By the way, I gotta say, it's interesting that you're the number one Jinx fan. You're talking like the Pokemon. You're definitely number one. I don't know if I've ever met any Jinx fans, to be honest. If that's who you're talking about. Actually, Jinx is spelled with a Y, right? So you probably mean someone else. But if it's the Pokemon, that's crazy. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. Arcane, got you. You could have taken the mantle as the number one Jinx Pokemon fan, because again, I don't know if anybody is a fan. Although I will say, I do think Jinx the Pokemon got the short end of the stick, because Jinx was originally part of the Magmar and Electabuzz trio, and then they just you know, left Jinx in the dust. Summers reminds me of an early One Piece villain where he's only remotely powerful because of his fruit, but is otherwise completely useless. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It's almost like Enel a little bit, right? You know, we talk about him a lot. He's a really good example of that. Crocodile's a little bit of an example of it. I feel like he had like even more respect for his enemies, but maybe he could be one. But Enel for sure. Also, earlier, Plume Black Hat, you say carrot hate in Big 2026. We always got to have the carrot jokes. Always. And honestly, I don't even have any personal issues with carrot. It's just we've discussed too many carrot theories over the years where I had to start memeing carrot a little bit. But I don't have any problems with carrot in particular. Gross Stonks, I heard Burka, and you came running. I can't wait, man. We need to figure out what's going on in Burka. That's like, I mean, that's the focus of the next video, because it's got to happen. That's when Urouge is coming into the story, my goat, right? That's like, if there was one reason to think that Burka's got to matter soon, Urouge is the number one reason. Wizdro, you said they did Jinx dirty in the OG Pokemon. Yeah, I know she got in a lot of, well, she/Pokemon got in a lot of trouble because of the blackface thing, and so they gave her a purple face, and so ever since that happened, they were just like, we don't want to think about her anymore, is what happened. And so, you know, from a PR perspective, I get it, but I mean, they fixed it, and I feel like Jinx could have some pretty cool stuff. So, Growth, I agree with you. Rouge in the Heaven Realm, I completely agree with you. I'd be really surprised if he was anywhere else. And maybe we'll end up being wrong. I just feel like we saw him on Balloon Terminal, and we've been waiting for him to show up again. We have lightning, flying everywhere. We saw him tied to Raijin Island. He's probably a Birkin, which ties him to an L. Like, everything is here for Rouge to get involved. My headcanon has always been that Rouge is going to be praying to Harold's grave. And maybe he's going to stop and be like, oh, wait, that hockey. Let me go check that out. And that's how we're going to see him here, like, in the next couple chapters. That's what I'm praying on. What would he do in this, like, moment, though? Like, how would he be relevant? Like, if he's going to, like, help us with this? I mean, there's no way the karma fruit's going to, like, ball out, right? And, like, save us or something? I don't know. Something I always thought was interesting is that you could almost look at Rouge's fruit as, like, the opposite of Kuma's, because Kuma's is, like, he can push pain out of people, and then he can also absorb it if he wants, so that way he can, like, transfer it from one person to the next, and then he's weaker afterwards. But Rouge, if he takes a bunch of pain, he gets stronger afterwards, right? So they both take a lot of pain, just in very, very different ways. And even the fact that Rouge probably has the karma fruit could maybe fit into that, because, like, nobody has better karma than Kuma at this point. So it would be kind of cool if Rouge, if somehow that played a factor. Like imagine if Kuma ejected everybody's pain from Elbaf at some point and then put it into Rouge, and then Rouge was just balling for like 10 minutes. Like, he was just going hard for 10 minutes, beating the snot out of Emu, beating the snot out of the Gods Knights, because he's got all the pain of Elbaf or something. I don't know, man. I think that would be crazy. It's hard for me to imagine, but it'd be so awesome. Like that, like, if you're gonna introduce a fruit where the more damage you take, the more damage you can do, it would kind of make sense to push that to the limit and see really, like, how much damage you can take and what that looks like. Like, I just think from, like, a writing perspective, from a storytelling perspective, that's what you'd want to do. So Kuma could be the perfect, like, liaison for that pain, right? Plumed Black Hat, you said, hey Dax, isn't it Rouge who found Raijin Island, or did I remember it wrong? And now Loki's lightning and thundering all over the place. You do remember correctly. Rouge, like, right whenever we were going to Punk Hazard, he pulled up to Raijin Island and he frowned, and it's one of the 2 times that he's frowned in the entire story. So that tells us that he has some history with Raijin Island. Or lightning, I should say. Maybe not Raijin Island, but something about Raijin Island triggered something in him, right? And I think that's because of an L. Because with an L destroying Burka 8 years ago now, that means that there, was no place for Rouge to stay anymore. And Rouge is the captain of the fallen monk pirates. So they fell from Burka because their island got destroyed. And that's probably why he has PTSD about whenever he looks at, Raijin Island. So yeah, so now that we're here in Elbaf and we got lightning going everywhere, and we're learning a legend about another lightning-based creature, right? Rouge has to be here. If Rouge doesn't pull up soon, I don't know, I'm not going to make any declarations other than I'll be sad. I'll be very sad. I'll be surprised also. Be very surprised. I gotta bring some of that into the Burka video too, now that I think about it. Because I brought some of that up in my Rouge and L video from a couple years ago. But I'm taking, like, a whole new spin on it because the flashback gave us a bunch of hints, which is why I'm doing this video, like, as far as what happened back then. Especially now that we're seeing lightning cook the Gods Knights. That really, I was hesitant to say in the video that an L could have killed a Gods Knight, because that's just, like, it's pre-time skip. He shouldn't be able to do that, right? Like that'd be kind of crazy for an L to lose to pre-time skip Luffy but kill a Gods Knight. But if they're weak to lightning, look, maybe that's how Burka fell, is he was taking out a Gods Knight, and the blast was so big that the island got destroyed too, or something. You know, I don't know exactly what the story would be, but this lightning is making me think. Alexander Ivanov, aka Ivankov69, member for 6 months. Hey Dak, why Nika looking evil in that panel? Let me go. That's interesting. So I didn't really think of it that way, but he does kind of look that way. It might just be the way that Oda kind of colored it here, because I feel like he's drawn like a general kind of Nika thing a few times, but this that looks like this, but this does kind of look like the nightmare version almost, right? I hope it's just the way Oda drew it, but it would be interesting if, like, in the past, the sun god was actually a bad guy. I sort of doubt it, but the fact these two are fighting, and like Elbaf seems to be good for the most part from what we've seen. I guess both sides have a good argument for like being the good guy. So I didn't really think about that, but that's interesting. He is colored like oh, sorry about that. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but he is colored like the nightmare. So, and he has like his eyes covered and all that kind of stuff. Also his shield. Wait, isn't his shield like that symbol? Isn't that tied to the God's Night somehow? It looks familiar. I just don't remember. Yeah, wait. Yeah, the symbol on Nika's shield looks a lot like the Holy Knight symbol, except it doesn't have like the horns at the top or whatever, right? That's interesting. Maybe we're reading a little bit too much into it, but it is an interesting catch. And like the way like that thing looks, it's kind of like a whale tail towards the end on his shield. That's also what the Celestial Dragon's hair kind of looks like. I know that's been brought up a bunch of times by you guys in general, the commenters and viewers. I know, because I had a few videos where people, I think I might have mentioned it too, but I remember there was some video where I had like 1 million comments about that. But that is interesting. And you also said a bit late to the stream, maybe it was already discussed. No, we didn't really talk about that very much. We did talk about, it feels like everything else, but no, we didn't really bring that up. He does look kind of evil though. BZ6, you said, Dak, do you think we'll get an outside Elbaf update soon? Very good question. Very good question. I actually recorded like a 2.5 hour video podcast, whatever you want to call it, with Crap Cafe. If you're familiar with Crap Cafe, he makes great theories, and that's actually what we talked about. We talked about it like, you know, a week ago, and we still don't have it done yet. But I don't think much is like you know, nullified from this chapter, so I think I'm still good to like upload that. But that's what we went through, is everything that could be going on outside Elbaf, because we need an update on it, right? Like, there are so many different things. We went through, I think it was like 15 or so different topics on things that are going on outside of Elbaf right now that we realistically should have an update on already, or at least like next time we dip around the world, we'll need an update on like this list of things. And yeah, that hopefully we can get that done soon, but that was a really good video, and I don't know when it's going to come, but we really need one, like really bad. I'm trying to think of some of the things, like Smoker's Box and Law and Beppo, which maybe they could be in Smoker's Box. Cross Guild, because they got attacked by the 3 different Seraphim. We also just need to learn about those Seraphim, because we don't know what powers they have. Now maybe the Dofi Seraphim has the string fruit. Maybe the Moria Seraphim has the Shadow fruit, because those are both Paramecia. But Croc has a Logia, so his Seraphim has to have a different fruit. And my money is on Ivankov's fruit, because going back to the whole Crocomom theory, if S. Croc has Ivankov's fruit, that's just like, it's just perfect. It's just poetic. Shout out Randy Troy for that one. I think he did a video about these, and that was his second choice. I think his first was Magellan's poison fruit, because Croc already has the poison hook. So that one makes a lot of sense too. But it would be way too funny if it was Ivankov's fruit, because Ivankov was an Impel Down for a while, so they could have some of Ivankov's lineage factor or whatever. Yeah, Plume Black Hat, you said, and an Akainu update as well. Yeah, we need to get Holy Land update in general. We need to get a Blackbeard and Caribou update. That's a really big one. Like, is Blackbeard going to go after Pluton? Is he going to go after Poseidon? Is he going to split up his crew and go after both? Is he going to go to the Holy Land because of what's going on? Because we already know that Lafitte was keeping tabs on it. There's a lot that could go on there. Trying to think. What else? There was a bunch of different things. But yeah, Oda set up a ton of stuff, like, all around the world. Also, like, where is Shanks going? What's the Grand Fleet going to be doing? Because the Grand Fleet is due for like I forget what they said, but like some massive event, some incident that like the world will remember. I forget how it was worded, but a lot of stuff going on. Good vibes, TCG. Glad you could show up, brother. You said, holy shit, I just read the chapter. Wild. Yeah. It got a lot of lore this chapter, man. was not prepared for it. Wizdro, you said Kong ain't doing nada. Listen, believe in Kong, all right? Believe in Kong. I'm not saying you need to have a lot of belief in Kong, but I really hope Oda is going to do something with him. I just need like one cool feat from the past for Kong. I don't need like anything extravagant. I just need to know that Kong did something to earn his position. You know what I mean? Like, the man's been commander-in-chief of the world, or of the Marines, or whatever his position was. All I need is just a little bit of lore, like, because you look even at God Valley. He's like, hey, Garp, end your vacation and go to God Valley. Like, he didn't even go himself. So I just want something, man. I just want something from my boy Kong. Cloud Lizard with the $5 super chat. Cloud Lizard, thank you very much, brother. During Marineford in the anime, when Garp hits Marco, effect is the logo. Now that we know Marco's dad sought out Whitebeard, curious, Whitebeard plus Marco equal Jolly Roger. When Garp hits Marco, effect is the logo. So Whitebeard plus Marco equal the Jolly Roger. Huh. Can you send me like a screenshot of what you're talking about with the effect? That's very interesting. If you guys saw, I don't even know what video it was, but there was some video where at the very end I mentioned, like, by the way, we met Polo Graham and I love this guy, and I forget what I even said, but I just wanted to include it because I was such a big fan of Polo Graham. I thought that reveal was just so awesome. So I'm down for any theories about this, but send me the effect you're talking about. Yeah, Sky Limits. The Cloud Lizard was trying to max the character count. It's tough. I've been there. I know it's tough. Trust me. So I'm trying to understand. I think what you're getting at is just that in the anime, there's an effect that looks like their logo, and you're wondering if that is like part of how the Jolly Roger was made. I can find a screenshot. Yeah, the residual after effect of the hit is the cross logo. Yeah, definitely send that. I think that would be very cool to look at. Like, you know, the anime, I never really know how much stock to put into things like that, because it's like I think somebody said recently that in one of the shots for like Kuzan, you can see like the Marines logo in his glasses, and then but he's like frowning, and then it shows the Blackbeard logo and he's smiling, or maybe it was the reverse. I can't remember. And so it's like, I don't know how much stock to put into that, because is that just like the animators having fun and like that there's like really no meaning behind what we already know? Or is it like some fun little foreshadowing, you know? Beezy, you said, did you notice how Zoro wasn't shocked on seeing giant Gear 5 Luffy? I didn't really think about that, but that is interesting. So, because he wouldn't have seen giant Gear 5 Luffy the first time, right? Like during Wano. And did Luffy go giant during Egghead? I don't think he did. Not that I remember. So yeah, because he is kind of casual about it. Maybe he did see Giant Luffy during the Wano raid, like whenever he was like waking up from being passed out or something. And I'm just not remembering. Like maybe during Bajrang Gun, he saw him. I can't remember. But he is very nonchalant about it. That's a good catch. Did he go giant against Kizaru? Because like Kizaru was always. Oh, that's right. Whenever he grabbed him, you're right. Right. Not like in the but not during the fight, but like whenever he first started, right? Because I'm thinking of all the other stuff, and like they were roughly the same size. But you're right. Whenever he first grabbed him, he was giant. Nico Vento, you said, didn't Luffy go giant to balloon Mars away? I always think it's hard to tell when Luffy's doing like the balloon stuff, right? Because like, is that truly giant, or is that just like, you know, we've seen him do Gum Gum Balloon and stuff a bunch, so it's like it's always hard for me to tell whenever he's doing that stuff. But he definitely did whenever he grabbed Kizaru. So maybe Zoro saw it then? Maybe? Cloud Lizard, you said you sent the video in Discord. Give me 1 second. I will take a look. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because of the image quality, but I think I can see what you're kind of saying, because it's like, yeah, these light blue little crosses or whatever. So this is right after Garpit Marco, you're saying? Because I feel like what they're going for is that it's like little bits of his flame, you know, falling off of him or whatever from getting hit, like the equivalent of like feathers for a Firebird thing. But it does look like a cross. They all look like crosses. That is kind of peculiar. That is really weird, actually. It kind of reminds me of almost the God's Knights logos, too. Like, not exactly, but it's kind of similar, like a circle with a cross through it. That is really weird. That's a good catch. How did you catch that? Are you doing a rewatch or something? With your wife, maybe, or something like that, if I remember correctly? Maybe that's how you caught it. That is crazy, though. That is actually kind of crazy. Those are like, they are just a bunch of crosses. Well, actually, didn't Marco, hold on. Or no, I'm thinking of a different attack. I remember he used some cool attacks against King and Queen, but I don't think any of them looked like that. And yeah, and it is interesting that, you know, Marco has that, like, logo. Hold on. Yeah, because Marco's, like, tattoo is, it isn't the Whitebeard logo. It's kind of like it, but it's not. So maybe that, I don't know, maybe that is, there's a connection there. I don't know. That's very interesting. Alexander Ivankov with the €2.50 or €2.50, whatever, you know what I mean, super chat. Thinking about this panel in the mural, I have a bad feeling that Nika back then was on the wrong side. Attacking giants, connection to Joy Boy's mistake. Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to think about it, because we brought this up earlier in the stream, where, remember when Gunko said, like, whichever side the giants pick will greatly change the outcome of the war? And I think they even, like, somebody said something else like that, maybe during the Loki flashback. But it gave us the feeling that, like, the Giants and Joy Boy really need to team up if they're going to beat the world government this time, right? Like, that's, like, a huge, important point. And that would kind of tell me that maybe they didn't agree in the past. Like, maybe they were, you know, enemies with one another. And so, I don't know if that would be Joy Boy's mistake, necessarily. Because, like, is the Nika we're looking at Joy Boy? Is that the original Nika? Were there other Nikas that we don't know about? You know, there's a lot of questions, I feel like, but it is interesting. I think that does tell us that, like, that was a mistake by somebody. I don't know whose it was. Like, maybe the Giants picked the wrong side, right? Like, the Giants were like, nah, we don't bow down to anybody, not even the Sun God or something like that. I don't know. So, yeah, it is interesting. There's got to be... There's got to be a deeper story there as far as like why they were fighting, you know. I could almost see a world where it's like Rox and Harold. Actually, now that I think about it, it could be just like that, where they were friends, but for one reason or another, you know, they just kind of saw things differently and ended up as enemies, even though they were more similar than different, kind of thing. So maybe it's literally Rox and Harold, but that's why Luffy's going to be different, and Luffy's the chosen one. Is he's like, I'll find a way for us to team up, even though Rox and Luffy would probably be like similar in this regard. Like, Luffy wouldn't want Harold to join the government, probably, but I also don't think Luffy would care enough to fight him and stuff. But then again, like, the reason Harold fought Rox was because he wanted to join and they said kill Rox, so maybe Harold would do it, and, you know, maybe it would end up being similar. But I don't think Luffy cares quite as much about joining the government and stuff. But either way, it does feel like there's a parallel there for sure. For sure. Especially with Loki looking up to Rox so much. I think that's also interesting. Well, alright guys, we are approaching 6:40 here. So I got 20 minutes until the Cavs start playing the Pistons, and that's going to be a big game. Half the roster is out for the Cavs tonight because we just can't escape the injury bug, but, you know, it is what it is. So I want to thank you guys for being here. I know it was like a different time than usual because it started like at 5 p.m. today, which is kind of crazy, but thank you guys for being here nonetheless, as always. I'm really excited that we don't have a break this week, so we'll be back next week for sure. Be on the lookout for like sometime in the next few days for the Burka and Anel video. I'm aiming for Sunday, maybe it'll be Monday, but that one's going to be really good. I think you guys will like it. And yeah, otherwise, you know, we got the reaction coming next week. Maybe we'll get a redacted video sometime soon, but either way, guys, thank you again for being here. Seriously, appreciate you guys so much. And like I said, we'll be back next week.